It's been over 7 months since Overwatch 2 was announced, and we haven't had a single peep of a release date, more footage, character leaks, map leaks, or anything. I mean, honestly, we have been content starved, and with Overwatch as a whole declining in view rate, click rates and streams have been decaying day after day, but the hope is that Overwatch 2 will surely come here tomorrow, right? Well, probably not, but we do know when Overwatch 2 is most likely going to drop, and we have a lot of information about Overwatch 2 in general, so smash that subscribe button, and if you want to make sure that your skills are honed and ready for Overwatch 2, go check out GameLeap.com, get yourself a premium subscription, and don't worry, when Overwatch 2 drops, we're going to be revamping the entire site with tons of Overwatch 2 content, so you don't have to worry about your subscription going outdated or anything like that. In fact, we'll have the most up-to-date content you'll find anywhere for Overwatch 2, so do yourself a favor and go check it out. But let's jump right into it, shall we? So E3 just passed us by, and we know for a fact that Overwatch 2 is being hyped for a next generation console release. You see, when Overwatch 1 first released, there was the beta, sure, but the actual game was released with the console counterpart, and it was released simultaneously, so it makes a lot of sense that they want to do the same thing with Overwatch 2 and release them side by side. But at the same time, they don't necessarily want to release Overwatch 2 with the last generation. That doesn't mean it won't be available for the last generation tech, but they really are incentivized to release it at the exact same time that the new generation stuff comes out. Now, knowing the release dates of these two consoles will help us better understand when Overwatch 2 will probably come out, and for the PS5 it will be November 20th, and the Xbox X Series just sometime around the holidays, so sometime in that ballpark will be when the Xbox X Series comes out, and that is the most likely candidate for release date of Overwatch 2. So yes, I know this is a really long wait, but at least we know when it's gonna drop, which is not too far away, and there is tons to look forward to. And let's talk about all the things that is coming in Overwatch 2 that you need to know right away. So first off, we do have 4 total maps confirmed. We have Toronto, which was featured in a Rush preview. We have Rio, Gothenburg, and lastly, Monte Carlo, a beautiful map, which should not be confused with the Overwatch commentator, Monte Cristo, who is definitely molding on Twitter right now. Now, I'm sure that this is a tiny peek into the map pool that is planned, and there's most likely going to be a lot more maps, especially because the new mode Rush is probably going to need at least 4 maps to be viable and competitive, so I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at least 7 maps, most likely more than that, so that's a lot to get hyped about. I mean, we want a giant dropping of maps, and that's the only way we're going to forgive Blizzard for making us wait like 9 or 10 months for Overwatch 2 after they announced it. On top of this, we have to break down the most likely characters that are going to be included in Overwatch 2, including Sojourn, who is a Canadian DPS character who, according to Blizzard, is going to be very important to the story and the progression of Overwatch 2, and she's an exciting looking DPS. Now, from the talent side, we have the ever-spoiled Malga, who was spoiled like forever ago, and we really thought that he was going to come out before Echo, but he just hasn't been dropped yet, so I'm thinking they're saving him for Overwatch 2, and also Junker Queen, who, if you don't know, she is the queen of Junker Town. She is like the head honcho in that entire area, and both of these characters, from all their descriptions, pictures, and everything like that, seem like tanks. And honestly, straight up, we need more tanks in this game. I mean, look at how many DPS characters there are, and then look at how many tank characters there are. Supports, yes, to an extent, but tanks dictate metas, and we have a severe lacking of tanking options that is really limiting the complexity of Overwatch. I mean, some tanks just have poor pairings, like Hammond. Who do you pair Hammond with in a way that plays with him, or someone that is self-sustaining in a way that you could play him with a Hammond when Hammond just lurks all the time? It just feels like there is like a hollow hole where a lot of tanks should be, and there is so much potential for tanks, and tanks are what we need the most. On top of that, another character that we could see is King, who was, lore-wise, D.Va's mech rival. And this is a character that would probably have a mech just like D.Va, but they have to make him different in some way. I don't know exactly what they would do, but a mech mechanic would be cool to say the least. And a third tank added. Yes, yes, yes. We need all the tanks in Overwatch 2. Give us like 5 or 6 tanks, 4 supports, and maybe like 1 or 2 DPS, and call it a day. Now, besides these things, in order for Overwatch 2 to live up to hype, it needs several things to ensure its success in the future. The first and most important thing, and there's been articles about this on Dextero, there's been articles, Reddit posts, all sorts of things about this general concept, but frankly, Overwatch 2 should launch free to play. Now, wait. Let me explain this for a second. So yes, it makes sense that the story missions would have to be bought. And they could even be episodic, where you could buy like a season pass, or you could buy them one by one, or whatever they want to do with that. But the core multiplayer should be free, kind of like with Warzone's Battle Royale, kind of like with Fortnite's. Its story mode is something you buy, but its multiplayer is free. You see, whether or not Blizzard is going to go this route remains a mystery, but with games like Valorant, Apex, Fortnite, and Warzone all having a free-to-play mode, and games like CSGO and Rocket League becoming free-to-play and adopting the free-to-play model, it is not the launch of Overwatch in 2016 anymore. Games are pretty free, and the barrier to entry is really simple and easy so that everyone can try the game. And that's what you want in a game that wants to grow exponentially. If you put it with a price tag now, it is not going to be able to build up as much hype as it could if it's free to play, especially with all this free competition. So realistically, Overwatch 2, at least the multiplayer, should launch free to play. Now, will this game survive if that's not the case? Yeah, it will. It has a lot of hype from Overwatch 1, and it probably will survive, but it could be so much more. It could be a successful launch. I mean, if they pack this with content, I'm talking like 8+ maps, 8+ characters, free multiplayer, Overwatch would be back on top of the gaming world, and in my opinion, that's where it deserves to be. So that is something that we should all hope for, at least a free-to-play multiplayer. Now, the second thing they need to do to make sure that Overwatch lives up to all of our expectations is try and restructure the ranked system. You see, a lot of this will be fixed with new characters, but there is a fundamental flaw because of queue times right now, and SR differential. Now, for you DPS players, you get a pretty long queue, which is definitely not fair for most of you. No one wants to wait 10+ minutes to get in the game. And for you tank players in particular, you will be like 3,400 or 3,600, and you'll end up in a game 500 up or 500 down. Like, why as a 3,500 player should you be put in a 4.2k game? That is not even the least bit balanced. And why as a 3,600 player should you be put in a 3.2k game? Like, this doesn't contribute to a fair system, and maybe this will be fixed with a lot more tanks, and I'm hoping it does, but it also needs fun tanks to play, and maybe even a restructuring of role queue as a whole. Now, a big thing that people have been asking for a long time is just to take away competitive rewards. And for those of you who don't understand why this is a thing, they don't want people to play ranked that don't take it seriously. They don't want just people that just come into your games, your ranked games, and they just do their placements and then they just troll their placements and leave. They want people to take it seriously. Only people that want to achieve a competitive goal should be playing ranked. Also, a big suggestion by a lot of people is make a hardcore ranked mode. And this is something that I want you to tell me your opinion in the comments down below. And what a hardcore ranked mode would include is punishes to things like one-tricking. You can't one-trick in a hardcore game mode. That would be something that is reportable. You have to play with the team, things like that. That would be what a hardcore ranked mode does. And also you would have things like preferred character. It would show all your stats, things like that. You could do a lot of different things with a hardcore ranked mode. But the idea of this would be it's something that is more for the players that really want to take the game seriously. They don't just have like this ranked mode that everyone just kind of does their own thing and doesn't try to work together. Now, on top of just fixing the one-trick issue, they need to fix the smurfing problem in Overwatch. And a lot of you have been complaining in the comments down below about the smurfing problem. And I know it's a big problem, especially in console when people can just make unlimited accounts. It is definitely awful. And even in PC, like, people just smurf all the time. And I would like to see Blizzard take a lot harder stance on this. We don't need a top 500 smurf do bronze to top 500, like Necros, where he went like 40-2 on stream. We don't need to see that. And we would rather Blizzard not be okay with something like this, especially because it leaves a bad precedent, and we would rather have less smurfs in our games. On top of this, there have been suggestions like maybe make an SMS required for playing ranked. So just like it is with getting your top 500, make it SMS required to play ranked at all. So only one person could have one account per phone. Of course, you could buy multiple phones, but the idea is to make it a lot more difficult to smurf. That would be something that would fix the smurfing issue a lot, but it would also cause less people to just play in general. You couldn't have alt accounts. Definitely let me know what you think about these suggestions in the comments down below. Now, the next thing is create more nuanced counterplay. And this digs in to what Siegel was talking about a long time ago, back when Siegel actually played Overwatch, about what nuanced counterplay is and why it's really important to the game of Overwatch. So let me give you an example of something nuanced in counterplay. So the monkey versus Ana example. This is the exact example that Siegel gave. It's where a monkey jumps on top of you as Ana, and you have to try to sleep him or else you're gonna die. But he has a bubble that he could throw in the middle of the air. He could throw it when he hits the ground. He could jiggle peek out of his shield. So there's like counterplay where it's you can hit the sleep dart and shut him down, or he could try to do things to counterplay your sleep dart. And that is a really cool matchup in that way. Now, that's a cool matchup, but imagine the matchup of Sombra versus Hammond. What is that matchup like? Oh yeah, Hammond flies in, hack him. That's pretty much the end of the matchup. That's it. And that is not nuanced counterplay. That is direct counterplay. Like, we don't want rock, paper, scissors. We don't want to go into spawn, pick a character that directly counters another character, and the only way that that other person wins is by swapping off that character to your counter. And it's just counterpick, counterpick, counterpick. And it's just like one character has a 100% win rate against another character, so you have to swap off. And that is not nuanced at all. That leaves no nuance to counterplay. Like, the nuanced counterplay we want to see is like a 50-50 matchup between like a really good Tracer and a really good McCree, baiting out Flashbang, playing around it. We don't want to just see you exist as Brig, you counter Tracer. That is not the type of nuanced counterplay that we want to see. And just as a design philosophy, for people that want a competitive game, you would love to see more nuanced counterplay instead of more direct, shut down type counters. Now, the last thing that we need for Overwatch 2 that would literally make Overwatch 2 stand the test of time, and I mean we'll be playing Overwatch 2 2 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and that is a map editor. Now, we already have some insane editing tools in Overwatch, and they are incredible. We've had so much fun playing these crazy game modes. I mean, I've been playing like Workshop Island gun game. I've been playing like 5 hogs, 1 hole. I've been playing all kinds of crazy games in Workshop, tiny Overwatch, whatever. But imagine what they could do if we had a map editor. I mean, imagine the game modes that we could create. Imagine the fun missions, obstacles, whatever. Make us a map editor, and Overwatch 2 will be put on a pedestal where it will still be played forever from now, and people will even make really cool maps and maybe fix the maps that exist in a way that the developers themselves can see, hey, this is what works and this is what doesn't, and that's happened a lot in past games. So map editor 100% would be an insane thing to see. But definitely let me know what you think should be added to Overwatch 2 to make it successful, and tell me, do you think Overwatch 2 is too far away? Do you think that they should have dropped Overwatch 2 already? Do you think that they should have even announced it if they were gonna wait like 10 months to let it go? Definitely let me know all your feelings in the comments down below. And like I said before, if you want to make sure that you have the skill level, the skill set to pop off in Overwatch 2, maybe you didn't reach your peak in Overwatch 1, maybe you want to go beyond that and you want to become a top tier player in Overwatch 2, definitely go check out GameLeap.com. We have in-depth guides, VOD reviews, and we're gonna have tons of content when Overwatch 2 comes out. So get in on the ground floor, make yourself broken, and you'll be ready to dominate Overwatch 2 just like that. Anyways, that's all I got for you today. I'm Coach Mills, and until next time,